Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back with another episode of Plague Inc. Evolved Early Access Windows version of the cell phone game Plague Inc. Last time we played as bacteria, this time we play as virus. It's just that simple. So we're going to, let's see, get DNA from blue bubbles or stick with red ones. I guess we'll stick with the red ones. We'll definitely stick with making the plague harder to cure. We will use our new ability that we unlocked last time, Suppression, where the plague is more likely to cross a closed land border. Really? Is that what this does? In the cell phone game, I thought it just said it was more likely to cross borders. But, okay. We'll try that anyways. I thought it was like the bird effect. Cost to devolve doesn't increase. That's really the only option, is to stick with translation on the evolution genes. Alright, gonna play on casual as usual. We're not gonna be HPV this time. This time we're gonna talk about a disease which I even did some research on this one. I'm trying to be a better informed person. We're gonna talk about smallpox. I've probably said a lot of dumb things and incorrect things about a lot of the diseases, and I probably will continue to do that. I'm not guaranteeing 100% accuracy ever in my life. I could never do that. But I will say I did look up smallpox. We'll start in Iran, I guess. I hit the button. Might as well, why not? Smallpox begins in Iran. Now, smallpox, first of all, is a virus. That's why I picked it. I googled some major famous viruses, and we've talked about the flu, influenza, as it is scientifically known, or at least slightly more scientifically known. I'm sure it's known by even longer names than just influenza based on its type and such. But we're going to talk about smallpox. So, smallpox is a horrible, horrible disease that comes about because of a virus. It attacks I guess this just affects rich countries, this one. See, these pop-ups don't explain what they do. So you never can really figure it out. You never get another hint. Anyways, smallpox attacks the skin, the dermis, and epidermis. Well, actually the dermis is the main part, and then the epidermis is the layer on top. But it attacks it pretty uniformly, which in comparison to chickenpox, which are not really the same thing, or probably even related that much, although you would be surprised how related a lot of things all are. Like, there are several kinds of herpes, and there's the one that everybody knows about, and then there's another one that is called something completely different. Maybe it is chickenpox. I don't remember. But, so you certainly don't want to tell the kids you have herpes type this when they have the chickenpox. So chickenpox is easier and more used in the common vernacular. But we're talking about smallpox, which is not there. So, smallpox is creates very uniform, giant-looking pustules filled with a slowly oozing out pus that pretty much covers every single part of the human body. You just become what would be. You almost look like you're made out of rocks. if you haven't seen any pictures of people with smallpox, go see some pictures. They are just covered in these really big, they're very uniform, about the same size pustules that all appear in about 12 days of you being infected. And then as the pus oozes out after a while, the pustules will scab over and after they're drained, and then the scabs will eventually fall off, leaving horrible, horrible scars. So it's not great. It hurts like crazy. It scars you for life. It can cause blindness by causing scarring over your eyes. It can just kill you straight up. And smallpox has been around a very long time. Unlike the flu vaccine, in the old days and and even today, the procedure to vaccinate people for smallpox is to basically take some of those pustules, turn them into a powder, and inject you with the live virus, which will cause a swelled bump on in that one place where you were injected, and a small scar. But heck, one small scar versus scars all over your body is probably a good trade-off. And they've been doing that inoculation in China and India, according to Wikipedia. This is where all this information is coming from. For hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, as far back as ancient Egypt. So it has been, they think one of the mummies they found of, like, I think King Ramses had smallpox, because they saw some pustules on his mummified remains. So this smallpox has been around for a long, long time. Possibly, I think they said they thought it was 10,000 years it's been affecting humans. And it is a horrible, horrible disease. It's very contagious, I believe. Very, very terrible. Often affects children, like the chicken pox. And much like I said when I was talking about the chicken pox in the previous episode, you just don't want your kids to get it. You don't want your kids to get sick because vaccines are just around the corner. And the good news is vaccines are already here. We've known the vaccination procedure for a long time to stop smallpox. But it is very strange that the vaccination is actually a live injection. Not all vaccinations are live injections. The flu definitely is not a live injection. But a lot of the early ones were definitely weakened or dead or live. It could be any of them, or a little bit of both. I'm going to go ahead and leave that symptom and let them discover it. Why not? So it could be weakened, dead, or alive vaccinations. It just depends on the disease and how people react to a weakened or an alive injection of a small amount. And in the old days, it was all injection. In fact, I saw recently just online a poor little puppy that had all kinds of warts growing in his mouth, and his mouth just looked horrible. And they said, well, how do you treat that? And the treatment is quite simple. You let one of the warts fall off or cut it off, and take a small piece of it and inject it in their bloodstream. And the dog's antibody system has no problem creating the antibodies. The only problem is why it doesn't automatically do it is that because the warts on his mouth only live in the epidermis or in the dermis in a way that it doesn't get into the bloodstream, his immune system just didn't even know he had them. So in animals, it's pretty simple to solve this. All you have to do is give them a slight injection of what they already have, and the body takes care of the rest. So a separate instance of how good reptile immune systems are, where this poor turtle, his shell had fallen off, and there was just this big hole in his shell, and it showed a picture where you were looking directly into what looked like a collapsed lung, where his lung should have been, and there were actual plants like algae growing inside where his lungs should be. And the comments from the veterinary people and people in the know said, oh yeah, that one's pretty bad off, he'll die in about 7 years. And people are like, wait a minute, how is this thing with a hole in his lung, or his lung is completely missing at this point, how is it going to survive 7 more years? And they go, well, reptiles have really good immune systems, and they can fight off all kinds of things for a really long time. But to get back to smallpox, we don't have that good of an immune system, particularly for dermatological diseases. If our bloodstream, it is kind of a flaw of the bloodstream system, isn't it? That it can't identify diseases in the dermis and epidermis. As long as the disease doesn't go too deep, it can do all kinds of terrible things, and even to the point of killing the body. And the immune system just won't know until it's too late. So, yeah, smallpox is horrible. Smallpox has killed hundreds and hundreds of millions of people. There have been horrible outbreaks in the past couple hundred years in the United States and the world that have done terrible things to people. That being said, here's the good news. Smallpox has been eradicated. You can't get it, really. The last person, they stopped immunizing people because more people were dying from severe reactions to the immunization for smallpox than people dying from smallpox. They stopped doing that in about the 1970s. They don't even recommend anybody to get the injections, the vaccinations now, except for doctors who actually are at risk of running into our last few samples of it. And the U.S. military is behind the time, and they sometimes will immunize people who are being deployed to other regions where might still be a small chance of the outbreak. But as for the third world, as for even the second world, as for even the first world, well, maybe not third world or fourth world, if there is a fourth world. I don't know what dictates whether it's a fourth world country, third world country, or second world country. But as for the rich countries, and even the medium countries, and even most of the poor countries, there is no more smallpox. This is the tale of immunization working. It's gone. You can't get smallpox anymore. Your kids can't get it. You haven't seen anybody with smallpox scars unless they got it and they are very old at this point. So, immunizations work, people. That's how we got rid of smallpox. And oh, by the way, when we got rid of smallpox, we stopped immunizing people. And that's what will happen with measles, mumps, rubella, all other diseases that still have a chance of breaking out. As soon soon as we have no more chances of it, we will stop immunizing, just like we did smallpox. And that's a great thing. One day, in theory, we would never have to immunize anybody for anything, because we would have such tight control and such good health care that no outbreak could ever break out. Even if a new disease mutated, somebody would be able to go to a doctor so fast and it would get cured so fast that it would never infect more than a couple more people. And that's the story of smallpox. It's a terrible, terrible story that ends on a great, great note. And we have eliminated the world, which is very, very possible if we didn't know what immunization was, if we never learned that. It would have been very possible that smallpox took out the whole world, but it didn't, and that's good. Smallpox was so prevalent that they had a special god in Hindi and Chinese religious beliefs that they would pray to, and they had a New Year's, I guess Chinese New Year's, tradition of wearing ugly masks to scare off the god who would steal the beauty, thus causing the smallpox scars on children. So they'd make the children wear ugly masks so that God would pass over them, as it were, and not afflict them with smallpox. It was horrible. It afflicted a lot of people. Anyways, we did it. We did it in 610 days. Pretty fast. We're getting better and better. Cure only got to 21%. That's pretty good. So yeah, smallpox. Go look up smallpox on Wikipedia. Look at those pictures and of how horrible it made people look. So we unlocked metabolic hijack. Let's see what that is. Next time we'll play as the fungus. Fungus still gonna be a difficult one. Let's see. Metabolic hijack. Orange and red bubbles are automatically popped for you. This isn't really that good of a thing. This is really just an option to stop playing the game, pretty much. Once you use this, you just put it in fast forward mode and you just sit there and wait. I've never really used it. I've tried it, I know what it does, but I won't be using it. But it did get one more thing unlocked, so we are down to 2 regular genetic modifications. We're quickly unlocking them, and that is great. And that is the end of this episode. So, yay, smallpox is gone. Yay, vaccination. Believe it, it actually works. There is evidence that it actually works. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of the video. All of that helps me out. If you want to support me through fan funding, click on my name, Rydo. That'll take you to my main YouTube page. On the right is a blue button that says support. Any amount you can donate will be greatly appreciated. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Google Plus, or friend me on Steam or Battle.net, all that information is down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.